Hey YouTubers, and welcome back.
Go!
Yeah! That is Kanji. We're going to call him Kanji on this channel. I don't care about it being inconsistent. Alright, guys, today we're going to be talking about, you saw the title, saw the thumbnail, it's just a one-picture classic today. But, guys, is Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, Dragon Ball GT, all the Dragon Ball movies, the new Dragon Ball Super movie, and everything else that we've come to know and love? Okay, that was weird. Is
Are you okay?
Yes. Is Dragon Ball itself more fun to talk about than it is to watch and pay attention to? I mean, and look, I understand I might be a little biased here because I'm the one with the channel and I actually have a lot of enjoyment from that. But look, ever since, at least in my opinion, ever since Dragon Ball Super ended, I feel like the community has kind of gone a little downhill. People have lost a lot of excitement about it. There's a lot of people who grew up on YouTube covering Dragon Ball who have now either moved on or just completely stopped in general, and the excitement doesn't seem to be there as much, especially on Twitter. If you go on there, especially every Saturday night, there's always one person or a group of people who are like, we would have actually been talking about Dragon Ball Super now if it wasn't off the air. And this is something that I really like doing. It wasn't so much what happened in any given episode. It wasn't what was going on with the overall story of Dragon Ball Super. It was making friendships, talking about it, and all the possibilities. Even if we knew, like a vast majority of all the stuff that I put out on this channel, that none of this was actually going to happen, or it was a long shot for any of this to happen, as cool as it would actually be. Kanji, what are your thoughts on this? Like, do you think that that was something that was really special about Dragon Ball and what really made us come back to this show that we all kind of grew up with and loved as kids, but found like a new admiration and love for as adults?
Yeah, well, absolutely. Because I mean, the one thing that everybody has to realize is that because a lot of people don't like the theory Dragon Ball YouTube channels, which is kind of like the ones where people kind of go, well, I think this is going to happen and stuff. And people are like, yeah, well, that's never going to happen and all this kind of stuff. And I feel like a lot of people kind of miss the point of those videos. And a lot of the time when these people are coming up with theories, it's not so much, I know this kind of goes against the word theory by itself, but it's not so much that person saying, I think this is going to happen, and nothing else is going to change my mind. It's, what if this did happen? What if this could be leading to that? And the idea of speculation has always been more fun than finding something out naturally anyway, because in your mind, you think up the things that you want to see, which is generally why a lot of people like their own theories. And when you talk to people, and then these people give you their theories and stuff, and you start sort of going, wow, that's an amazing theory. It's because you think similarly to this person. And that kind of gives you this excitement for, actually, you know what? That could actually happen. That's so crazy it could actually be right and all this stuff. And that really created this excitement among the people in the community. I mean, I know yourself and me included, we love the discussion videos where people talked about all their different thoughts and opinions of the way that the franchise was going to be going, the way that we interpreted some of the events that had happened, and all this kind of stuff. Just getting different people's opinions on the matter really expanded and blew out this seemingly small kind of thing that could have happened in an episode, which could then create so many videos for people to talk about. Like, as simple things like Goku and Vegeta growing beards when they came out of the hyperbolic time chamber, or the room of spirit and time. And in the Dragon Ball Super episode, I think it was like, 27 or something, 35, I can't remember. Something like that.
Who cares?
Who cares? Yeah. Basically, we were sort of like there talking about it afterwards, going, wow, does this mean that Saiyans grow facial hair and all this kind of stuff? Because so many of them don't generally, except for Vegeta and GT and Vegeta's dad, And Paragus now, of course, is could blow up all sorts of conversations going forward in the future. But the interesting kind of thing is the fact that now that people have kind of stopped doing that, I don't know whether it's because people have been afraid of being clickbait because they have nothing to back up their theories, but they need selectable titles to make their videos clickable and all this kind of thing. People have just kind of stopped doing it as much. And that has really killed off some of the excitement in the community, because the products we're given, we're now only being able to talk about the stuff that we're given. And at this precise moment in time, we're not being given anything, not until the movie comes out. And so a lot of the communities, a lot of the channels, sorry, not the communities, a lot of the channels are uploading a lot of the same kind of content, which again is affecting a lot of people's excitement. So generally speaking, I think talking about Dragon Ball and blowing up all these different directions where it could go, it creates fan theories, it creates these different paths that the stories could go in, and it makes it really fun. And you never quite know which one's going to be right, and that was always exciting. I remember, I don't know if Danny's actually going to pick up on this at some point. He really should at some point soon. But he started doing this video ages ago where before Dragon Ball Super started, I think it was let me know your suggestions, and by Danny I mean Geekdom 101. He was like, leave me your suggestions, what you think's going to happen in this series, and then, when Dragon Ball Super's done, I'll go back through all these comments and we'll pick out and we'll find out who was right and all this kind of stuff. And it was going to be really interesting, but that doesn't seem to have resurfaced. And so many other things haven't resurfaced that people have been talking about. And we had so many wild ideas where it could have gone. I really do think that talking about it is sometimes a lot more fun than watching it.
I love the fact that we were coming up with all of these weird, crazy, wacky things that could actually happen or probably wouldn't happen, but it would be fun for them to explore, especially with a television show that didn't have the source material, especially as we got like halfway through Dragon Ball Super. I mean, there was nothing that was indicating where we were going in the future. It could have gone anywhere. It could have focused on anything, even though we knew Goku was going to be the main protagonist and somebody that we followed throughout the entire series. There was a lot of speculation of Trunks coming back, who was Goku Black, what was the whole Tournament of Power going to be, how was it going to shake out, were we going to get backstories on these characters, and almost everything else that came with that. What was the next thing after the Tournament of Power, especially before we knew Dragon Ball was actually going to end and they were taking this hiatus or they were waiting for the movie or whatever it was going to be. How are they going to top this? This feels like a game changer, end game type of storyline. Why are they doing it right now before we knew, well, okay, this was the end game for that series? I always just kind of think, it's really not even to me about making videos or putting out content or, just doing any of this stuff. It's having conversations with people. I mean, it's beyond like, oh, what could happen from week to week. And I don't talk with a lot of the people that I came to know and really appreciate and become friends with throughout the Dragon Ball Super run that I did or I do anymore. I don't get calls from people. I don't sit there on Saturday nights and kind of relive the episode and talk about, oh man, what's going to happen? Let's break down this preview that we got. Let's break down this news that we got and try to figure out where this is leading and heading, and just transition from talking about Dragon Ball for an hour or 2 or 3 on a Saturday night or something to picking up on videos and then actually talking about real life stuff and everything else like that. I mean, it really did foster friendships. It made people excited about what was coming every single week. And it just started up so many conversations that were, at least in my opinion, the excitement for what was going to happen in those conversations that was leading all of that speculation and talk. That was more exciting than watching the show. That was more excited than actually paying attention to where the story was, the story was giving us, or all of this other stuff that they were trying to give us throughout the entirety of the series. So yeah, it feels like we've lost a whole lot. And yeah, waiting for the movie I think is going to be really awesome, and I think fandom is going to start picking up sometime in the near future. Like, oh my gosh, Broly's coming back. Oh my gosh, this movie could lead to another series or manga or something, like another movie that's connected to this, and where is it going in the future, and all of this other speculation. But I mean, without a series, without any of that forward momentum, and with all the excitement that came from Battle of Gods and Fukkatsu no F leading into this series and everyone's excitement for it, I think we've lost that, and it's really kind of sad in my opinion, because we've lost the conversation. We haven't really lost the material. We still have video games, we still have Dokkan, we still have all this other stuff, but we don't have the community as excited to talk about it anymore. And I think that's one of the reasons the franchise in itself is kind of stagnant, at least as far as the fandom goes, and my particular branch of the fandom that I either like talking about or talking to, or just getting excited for it.
Yeah, I mean, there's a couple of things that have contributed to this as well. And I mean, like, obviously, I don't want anybody to get the wrong idea about what we're talking about at the moment. We're not sort of saying, oh, Dragon Ball sucks and it's only fun to talk about it because they don't know what they're doing with it. It's just because the situation has become a case of there were once upon a time when we were doing all these theory videos and stuff, there were too many people out there that were pushing their theories on people as fact, which, now it doesn't matter, because if you go back and look at it, it's a dead video because you know that didn't happen. So those clickbaity things, they sucked for the time, but now they really don't matter. It really holds no bearing. It affects nothing of us going forward. It's not important. But then we had the other side of it, which was, of course, people kind of going, clickbait is wrong and all this kind of stuff. Excuse me. And they were right. Clickbait is wrong in many ways. But that really it split the community in two. So that, to the side that there was a load of people that just kind of were like, no, I only want the truth information. I don't care about fan theories and stuff. And it would go too far. Like, people were sort of getting upset by people's theory videos. Even when it said theory in the title, people would be like, this is clickbait, I hate this and stuff. This isn't what happens, and blah, blah, blah. And it made people get very, I want just the truth. And then a lot of the people that liked discussing it and hearing what other people had to say kind of got, I don't know if they just got a bit put off by doing it because they didn't want to be hated and condemned by the other people in the community. It really has split us off, and I think too many people are afraid these days to talk about what they want to talk about, and they're too afraid of being laughed off, because there is a lot of people in this community that really want to just be they just want to be the elitist side of the community. There are too many people that don't really want to go and watch other people's videos unless they know how credible this person is. And generally, if they're covering news, then that is a very plausible way to sieve through who you listen to. But when they're just coming up with theories, you can have somebody who's non-trustworthy when it comes to news, but they may actually be very imaginative when it comes to actually spreading their theories. And that doesn't mean that they're less fun to talk to. And I think that's something that has really narrowed down who we can work with in this community and who's got ideas and who's capable to work with,
Mm-hmm. No, I completely agree. And there's a ton of people. When I first started doing this, even though I kind of realized that a lot of these people in the community that are talking this, that, or the other probably aren't right about when Forgotten No F, before we actually knew anything about it, there's a lot of people out there saying, oh, it was going to be Broly, and it's like, it's probably not going to be Broly, but it was kind of fun to listen to those speculation, everything's that went into that speculation. Oh, what would the story revolve around? Is this going to be the same Broly that we knew from the last time? All this other stuff, and it's kind of the same thing right now that we know that this movie is going to be Broly, and so there's a lot of speculations out there. There's a lot of like, oh, this is how it can end, and this is how it's going to set up. I mean, I even do that. You do it as well. Everyone has something to talk about. Or as far as, a recent video we did on your channel where what happens if Trunks actually stayed in the prime timeline, or the main timeline for Dragon Ball Super, and then we worked him into the Battle of Gods stuff, or not Battle of Gods, but Tournament of Power, and just kind of allowed that story to have a natural progression and give Trunks his happy ending and all this other stuff. I mean, that's creative, that's fun, that's one of the things we actually really enjoyed talking about during the Dragon Ball Super runtime. And it wasn't so much about, or at least very early on, I realized it's not about being right about your theories. It's not about trying to be accurate and, oh, this is definitely going to happen because it needs to happen, or telling people, oh, this is what's going to happen. It's really, it's just a theory. It's a speculation based on what we've seen and all this other stuff that we got from Dragon Ball beforehand. And let's try to meld this into something that would make sense and actually happen in the story. And then where would that take us in the future? That was always the most fun thing to do. And it wasn't about clickbaiting. It wasn't about getting a ton of views or anything else like that. It was just, let's have fun and let's see if there's enough to talk about and be excited about so we could talk about it every single day. And that was the prime time of Dragon Ball, really, in my opinion, in my fandom.
Oh, definitely. Definitely, because I mean, like, even on my channel, like, I've got a load of backdated videos, which I'm still really proud of. And okay, the way that you'd be able to watch them now is, it's almost because some of the stuff that I was alluding to could have been quite right. And some of the stuff that I alluded to was something that we've still got room for possibly seeing in the future. Now, there was a couple of videos that really spring to mind. One of the ones I was really proud of is when I was doing a load of theory videos, I did the possibility of us getting the first female Super Saiyan. And I did this because as soon as I found out that the Saiyans were in Universe 6, it gave us a complete opportunity where I knew that there would be a chance we could get one. And so I did a video based on this and how I would introduce them and how I think it would be logical that they would be introduced. And lo and behold, that was actually what happened. I guessed that we'd get one from Kaba's universe or something. and I guessed that she probably wouldn't know how to be a Super Saiyan and whatnot, and we'd find out, and it would be this big moment and all this kind of stuff. And you know, a lot of people had problems with the way that it was done in Dragon Ball Super, but we did have fun with it. And I'm proud of the drawing I did for it as well. The thumbnail, I drew what I thought they'd look like. And, of course, I drew them in Cabba's armor, which was, you know, it was logical thought for me to do that. But, of course, I didn't expect Caulifla nor Kale to be in their pretty much own clothes. But the actual face of the character I drew was so close to Caulifla that I'm actually still quite proud of it, you know. But it's interesting because these things wouldn't have happened had we not. And you and myself, like we had so many interesting theories that we went through over the years and stuff. And it's a shame that more people aren't willing to try and do that kind of thing because we've got less to work with in terms of discussion.
Yeah, and that's the thing is, well, we just don't have a whole lot because we're not getting it week to week, and that was one of the things that was special about Dragon Ball, especially in this day and age, is we had it week to week and nonstop for like a couple of years.
Remember your Vados video where you were concerned, you were sort of spitballing the idea that she might be a villain, and then when we got to Universe 6 and like the actual sort of tournament started taking place, and she started sneaking around, and you could see Hit looking at the cube and Frost looking at the cube, and there was all that kind of stuff going on. Like, your video started doing really well because generally people started getting really worried about that. Like, oh my god, is this true? So when people started looking at it, it was already on YouTube for us to kind of look at. And when people were hearing your theory and going, wow, this is a really good idea. We don't have that to do at the moment because so many people are afraid to put their own thoughts out there. They think it might be wrong.
Yeah, and I agree with you. I think when we started and the theories that were going around, there was definitely this excitement about it, and we weren't really worried about, you know, this being right or wrong. It was just really fun to talk about, and it was all bred. All of this old videos and even new stuff, all the speculation and fun theories and stuff we do really comes from just the conversations. It's not about putting a video out there or anything else like that. It's just, you know, like we were talking, this whole video, this, you know, between you and me right now, it's like it literally came from us just talking for like an hour or so before we started recording. Like, you know what, this is actually something I think we should do a video on because I think it's realistic in terms of not only our channels, but people who listen to our channels and people who listen to our channels who either want to start channels in the future or have them already. Is like, you know, you got to realize that the best part about it was just the conversations. That's what bred all of those discussion videos, all those theories, whether you want to watch them anymore or not. It wasn't like, oh, I want to capitalize this or I want to actually, just throw as many videos out there as possible. Those actually were bred. All of those videos were bred from discussions you had with other people. And, you know, the reason you don't see as much content being put out there anymore is not because, oh, there's no Dragon Ball, even though that's a big issue, is the community itself has stopped talking about it. Even friends that you have or that you got from Dragon Ball Super have stopped talking about it. It's no longer relevant on every single person's mind. So you don't have those conversations. You don't breed those ideas to make those videos and have fun with them anymore. And that's what's really problematic. Now you have a lot of people who keep it alive, either who, you know, like you said, very spirited fan theories or pitches or stuff that they'd like to see in the future, which is what I've done, which you have done throughout this hiatus. And also you have people who want to cover the news like Danny does, and almost everyone else like covering the manga chapter and what's going on there with discussions and anger about that. Plus you also have, you know, movie news and everything that's coming and everyone trying to cover that stuff. But that gets old. I mean, it's just news. There's just so much you can actually break down and like, okay, maybe this happens, but let's break it down. What would happen if the story and how do we move forward and everything else like that? Like what happens if Broly does live or what if he dies? What is the next story here? What's the sequel to this movie? Yeah, what if he joins the good guys? There's just so much stuff that we can talk about that we would have if this show was still on, but it's not, and people seem to have moved on. And to me, that's the biggest issue here, and that's one of the biggest things that I miss about all of this is that it was way, way more fun to talk about than actually listen to or watch or anything else like that. That without the community around us to talk about it at every given Saturday. It's like, well, okay.
Well, it's not even just that, but I mean, like the fusion challenge and stuff that I do would not have started if I didn't have a lot of people to talk to. You know, because I needed people to have a go at guessing. I needed people to be able to converse with, to try and, you know, get ideas from, see what people wanted to sort of, you know, guess, what people would think. And now I've got the big channels to go to, and I've got some of my friends to go to, but I don't see a whole lot of new up-and-coming channels.
And that's really because there's not much to talk about right now. Hopefully that changes in the future if Dragon Ball comes back in a big way, or the movie just kicks off something completely different and we're going to see the revolution of Dragon Ball in a different way than we've ever had before, or anything.
Partially, I think there's also a bit too much negativity going on. I think too many people are worried about saying stuff that could be proven as discredible, or even sharing opinions that the vast majority do not share. For instance, with every Toyotaro manga chapter that comes out, everybody likes to jump on it and kind of go, this sucks. Well, okay, if you don't like it, that's absolutely fine. I mean, like, it's not my favorite either, but you've already got another iteration of the story when it happened in the anime. So is it really that big of a problem that we need to voice all of this negativity and throw loads of hate everywhere and splash our hands around in the hate? Oh my god, there's so much goddamn hate everywhere. It's just, is it really necessary? Could we not just laugh about it and just kind of be like, well, that's kind of funny? You know, I don't like the way it's been done, but I kind of like the idea that Master Roshi got Ultra Instinct, because it brings a previous character that has got hasn't got much more life left in the character to explore, and just gave him a random power up. Yeah, it's an ass pull, but 90% of Dragon Ball is an ass pull, right? Unless people start going like, you know, oh, they've been talking about this for a few weeks now, so now it's actually like it's been built up and all that kind of stuff. But the stuff that's nice is the surprising stuff, you know? And I think if the internet wasn't so big as it is now in comparison to what it was when Dragon Ball first came out, and there were people sort of like, you know, so much could have been considered an ass pull, like Goku being an alien and all this kind of stuff. And like, you know, if the internet was about back then, we'd have had that much more negativity going on about the show at the time. And it's just like, God, guys, just occasionally forget you've got the internet. Just forget that other people are negative and you want it to spoil your mood. Just take it for your own opinion, what you own to think about it, each of you, and just enjoy it. Just appreciate it. If you don't enjoy it, then just stop reading it.
No, I completely agree. Guys, what are your thoughts on this? Do you think that Dragon Ball is just more entertaining to actually talk about and discuss with friends or in a small community or even bigger community than it is to simply watch, listen to, or just, you know, from week to week get mad about with the manga chapters and the anime and everything else like that, and to actually see it play out? That's not even like close to what you wanted. Like, just talking about it in one way or another, getting you excited and being excited to actually watch that, talk to your friends about it, and talk about where it's going to go. Hope everyone has enjoyed this video. Share your honest opinion in the comment section below. Go down to the description section and make sure to hit that link to go subscribe to Kanji. Guy makes some really awesome, unique, and original content for the Dragon Ball community, so you're not going to want to miss any of that. Hope everyone has a fantastic freaking day. It's been real.
Bye!